When a Chinese billionaire mocked a waitress, the unexpected reply revealed heartwarming truths. Emily wiped the grease from her hands and forced a bright smile as the lunchtime crowd bubbled with energy. The diner was a lively canvas of voices, loud laughter, clinking dishes, and the smell of bacon wafting in from the kitchen. It was a melting pot, full of stories ranging from the African immigrant sharing dreams of opening a bakery to the elderly man reminiscing about love lost. But in this moment, all eyes darted to the striking figure who had just entered, and it was not a familiar face. Mr. Wang, a Chinese billionaire known for his ruthlessness in business, strolled into the diner with a confidence that demanded attention. His tailored suit seemed to echo with the self-importance of wealth as he perched himself on a bar stool, scrutinizing the menu with disdain. Emily approached, her heart racing as she prepared to suggest the diner's famous meatloaf special. "Meatloaf? How pedestrian!" he scoffed, the words dripping with arrogance. Laughter erupted around the room, a wave of humiliation crashing over her. Emily's smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly steadied herself. A waitress wasn't just a server. She was a bridge between their hopes and reality. With trembling resolve, she replied, "I work here because I dream of a better life. Maybe if you look beyond the surface, you'd understand how many lives you could touch." The laughter faded into an eerie silence. Emily's words hung in the air, sparking something profound within the diner. Her courage ignited a flicker of empathy. Suddenly, voices joined in, sharing stories of struggle: the mom working 3 jobs to put food on the table, the refugee fighting against all odds for a fresh start. One by one, patrons poured their hearts out, creating a tapestry of resilience that captivated even Mr. Wang. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the stories flowed, the atmosphere shifted. Emily's voice radiated warmth, igniting waves of understanding. Mr. Wang, visibly shaken, listened intently. Each tale hit him like a thunderclap, unraveling his misperceptions of success. The mother who sacrificed her dreams, the child who walked miles to school, all pieces of a puzzle he had never bothered to examine. The room buzzed with a newfound energy, a chorus of compassion that filled the cracks of the diner. Emily felt her heart swell. This was her world, her family. But as Mr. Wang sat there, his frown turning thoughtful, one burning question remained. Would he grasp this chance to change? The tension was palpable, anticipation tight in the air. Would Mr. Wang emerge with humility? Or would he retreat, leaving behind only echoes of his arrogance in a place transformed by empathy? The murmurs of the diner faded, leaving only the sound of Mr. Wang's shallow breaths. Emily could see the wheels turning in his mind, yet she held her breath, unsure of what would follow. Around her, the regulars exchanged cautious glances, their collective spirit still palpable as they waited for him to respond. The question lingered in the air, heavy with possibility. Finally, he looked up from the menu, meeting Emily's gaze with an intensity that made her stomach churn. "What do you dream of, really?" His voice was softer now, stripped of the previous arrogance. Emily blinked, taken aback. This wasn't the jeering tone she had expected, but a genuine inquiry. She felt a warmth blossom in her chest. "I dream of owning a bakery, one that serves everyone, no matter who they are or where they come from. I want to create joy through food. It's not just about business, it's about connection." The tension lifted slightly, as the warmth of her aspirations began to ripple through the diner. Mr. Wang's eyes narrowed as he processed her words, as if glimpsing a light he had never considered before. Around the room, voices started popping up again, emboldened by Emily's honesty. "I want to send my kids to college," said the mother, wiping tears from her eyes. "I want a stable home for my family," added the man who had been sharing his dream of travel. The mosaic of stories swirled around Mr. Wang, infecting him with their raw truth. Hesitating, he shifted on his stool, almost as if burdened by the weight of his own past. "But success, what does that mean if not wealth?" Emily leaned forward, her heart racing. "Success is more than money, Mr. Wang. It's about the lives we touch, the memories we create. There's a richness and connection that no bank account can measure." The diner grew silent again, this time with an undercurrent of hope. Mr. Wang's brow furrowed, as if he was struggling to reconcile the worlds he inhabited. Headlines flashed before him, the stories of his business conquests, the accolades that came with his wealth. But everything suddenly felt devoid of meaning in this moment, filled instead with the lives in front of him. His fingers drummed against the bar, and he took a deep breath. "Maybe I've been wrong," he murmured. "Maybe there's more to life than the bottom line." He looked around the diner at these faces, the waitresses, the single parents, the dreamers. For the first time, they weren't just a backdrop to his wealth, but pillars of strength and resilience. Emily watched the transformation in his eyes, a flicker of understanding igniting the shadows. "I want to hear more," he finally admitted, eyes now bright with something new. "Can you tell me what I can do to help?" Gasps of disbelief rippled through the patrons. Was this really happening? Emily felt her heart race. This was a moment for change. A turning point not only for Mr. Wang, but for all who sat in the diner. As she opened her mouth to respond, the door swung open with a clang, breaking the charged atmosphere. A new arrival stepped in, a young girl holding a worn-out basket filled with pastries. "Excuse me, I heard there was a bakery here. Can someone help me?" Eyes turned toward the young girl, a new story ready to unfold just as the old one began to pivot. Emily felt hope surge within her. Would this be the catalyst for not just one life changing, but many? Everything was about to shift, and she could almost touch the magic in the air. What awaited next was uncertain, but a stirring was alive, promising to intertwine their lives in ways none could foresee. Would Mr. Wang take this chance to rewrite his legacy? The door had opened, and behind it lay a world of possibilities. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she waited for the man's response. The air was thick with anticipation, every set of eyes glued to his face, searching for a glimmer of validation or rejection. The twinkle of the diner's neon lights cast flickering shadows across the booth, echoing the tension in the room. Finally, he broke the silence. "Fine," he said, rolling his eyes. "I'll hear you out. But don't think I'm buying into this pastry revolution of yours." A loud cheer erupted from the crowd, the weight of his words lifting the atmosphere like a fresh breeze. Emily felt a smile creep onto her face, a mix of disbelief and excitement washing over her. They weren't just surviving, they were building something, even if it started small. "Let us meet next week, same place," she proposed, her heart racing. "We can brainstorm ideas, what we can do, and how we can make it work." The young girl nodded eagerly, bouncing on her seat. A few others chimed in with suggestions, local charities, community partnerships, and even ideas about themed pastry nights. Mr. Wang's voice rose above the rest. "And while we are at it, we should consider showcasing some local talent. We have bakers, artists, why not craft a community event? We can call it Pastries and People." More claps punctuated the idea, each in unison like a heartbeat of a newfound dream. The heavy-set man, for all his reluctance, couldn't he help but observe the energy surrounding Emily and the young girl. The conviction in their voices seemed to soften the hard edges of his skepticism. "You all really believe in this?" he asked, almost incredulously, as if he were witnessing some secret magic. Emily, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm, nodded. Yes. We believe in each other, and that is powerful. Together, we can bring light into this community. It's more than baking, it's about sharing stories, challenges, and victories. His gaze drifted away as he lost himself for a moment, caught in thought. He began to wonder whether he had been too quick to dismiss this assembly of misfits. Just a week ago, he would have laughed off their ambitions. Now he was strangely curious about where this journey could lead. With a heavy sigh, he took a step closer, an unfamiliar softness settling in his voice. All right then. Let us see how far your little pastries and people vision can go. But I promise you, if this fails, it's on you. The gathered crowd erupted into joyous laughter, with Emily beaming in the center of it all. It was a feeling she hadn't anticipated, the sense of camaraderie. With shivers of hope coursing through her, she understood they were all forming a lifeline. As the group began discussing potential ideas and excitedly planning for their gathering, Emily felt a surge of gratitude. Their hearts were lighter, and she could sense the first blossoms of something amazing taking root, even in the most unexpected places. But lurking beneath the surface was another thought that nagged at her. Could they sustain this momentum? What challenges lay ahead that could threaten to undo everything they had just built? In that moment, as laughter and voices enveloped the diner, the doubts faded into the background. They would face the future together, arm in arm. Still, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. As they wrapped up the meeting that night, she couldn't help but wonder, would they be able to overcome the obstacles waiting for them around the corner? Would their dream turn into something real, or would they inevitably falter? The possibilities loomed ahead, wild and uncharted, just out of reach but brimming with potential. Emily took a deep breath, ready to embark on the journey that could change everything. But little did she know, a single message from an unexpected source was about to turn their world upside down. Emily practically bubbled with excitement as she left the diner, buoyed by the promise of what was to come. The cool night air wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. She could still hear the celebratory chatter of the group echoing in her ears, the way they shared ideas, laughter, and the spark of possibility. It felt like a dream too good to be true. Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket, jolting her out of her thoughts. She quickly fished it out, and saw a notification that sent a chill through her. It was a message from an unknown number. Hesitantly, she opened it. "Emily, I saw you speak at the diner. I think we need to talk." Her heart raced. Who was this? And how had they seen her? The message was brief, but carried an undercurrent that set her nerves on edge. She took a moment to steady herself, reflecting on the reality of their budding project. The idea of pastries and people was infectious, and here was someone intrigued enough to reach out. She typed back, asking who they were and what they wanted. Emily felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Did they want to invest? To tear them down? As she waited for a reply, her mind drifted to the faces in the diner, the young girl with bright eyes, Mr. Wang with his newfound support, and everyone else who had come together that night. They were all counting on her, and she could feel the weight of it pressing down. She couldn't let them down. Just when she started to doubt herself, her phone buzzed again. "It's Ben. Ben Chen. I run a local bakery, and I'm interested in what you're doing. Can we meet?" This time, it was like a light switch had flicked on within her. She knew Ben. His bakery was a staple in town, known for its innovative flavors and community support. She recalled seeing his Instagram posts celebrating local events, his warm smile standing out against trays of colorful pastries. "Yes. I'd love to meet," she typed back, her fingers flying over the screen. "How about tomorrow? Let us say around noon at the cafe by Main Street." "Perfect. I'll see you then." Emily put her phone away, her heart bubbling with renewed hope. Maybe Ben could help them elevate the event. She felt a surge of excitement at the thought of infusing their plans with his expertise. But as quickly as the anticipation rose, another wave of doubt rushed in. What if he dismissed their vision like some others had before? The next day dawned bright and cheerful. As Emily walked to the cafe, her mind raced with questions. What would Ben say? Would he actually be interested in a collaboration? Her heart pounded as she stepped through the cafe door, searching for him among the bustling crowd. When her eyes finally landed on him, seated at a corner table with a welcoming smile, her tension eased just a bit. He looked relaxed, sipping coffee and casually scrolling through his phone. She waved and walked over, trying to mask the storm of anxiety brewing inside her. "Hi. Ben, right?" she said, forcing a smile. "Emily. Great to finally meet you in person," he replied. He had a warm, inviting voice that made her feel at ease. They exchanged pleasantries, discussing the bakery, local events, and the recent success he had with a charity bake-off. But as Emily began to explain her vision for pastries and people, she could feel her confidence wavering. It's about bringing the community together through food," she stumbled, unsure. "We want to create something heartfelt that showcases our stories, our journeys." Ben leaned back, his expression thoughtful as he listened intently. Emily's pulse raced, waiting for his verdict. "Sounds appealing," he said slowly. "But tell me, what makes you think people will show up?" Just as she gathered her thoughts to answer, an unexpected visitor walked through the door. A tall figure, unmistakably powerful, caught her eye. Emily froze mid-sentence, her stomach tightening. It was the heavy-set man from the diner, a half-smirk playing on his lips. He looked straight at her. "So, this is the revolutionary project you're all so passionate about?" he called across the cafe, his tone mocking. Emily's breath hitched. What did he want now? Would he taint this moment too? The weight of doubt settled heavily in the air. But then she realized if they could weather this, they might just stand a chance. And as she prepared to respond, she felt the room pivot toward her, like it was waiting for a spark. Would she be able to rise to the occasion? Would this encounter force her to show what truly mattered? The question hung in the air, waiting for an answer. Emily's heart thudded loudly in her chest, drowning out the soft hum of chatter around her. All eyes in the cafe seemed to veer toward the stranger. She could feel the weight of their stares, and for a moment, the world fell away. The mocking tone from the man had struck a nerve, and the laughter from those seated nearby felt like daggers. "Who are you?" she managed to ask, her voice steadier than she felt. The question hung in the air, daring him to respond. "Just someone who cares about quality," he replied, his smirk widening. "I was curious about this little venture of yours, the people, the pastries. How do you think you can compete with established businesses?" Emily swallowed hard. The familiar mix of fear and determination surged through her. She wrapped her fingers around her coffee cup, feeling its warmth seep into her palms. "With heart," she answered, surprising herself. "This isn't just about food. It's about connection, sharing our stories and our flavors." Ben shifted in his seat, evaluating the exchange with curiosity. Emily noticed his brows knit together slightly, intrigued by her response. "Heart?" the man scoffed, crossing his arms as he leaned back, unimpressed. "That is sweet, but it won't pay the bills. People want the best, not a punchline." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Emily's throat tightened, but anger and passion began to bubble beneath her skin. "What people want also depends on what they value," she shot back, her voice rising just a bit. "Our community deserves to have a place where they feel included in every bite." The words flowed out, surprising not only him, but herself as well. The man's smirk faltered, just for a second, but he quickly covered it up. "Good luck with that," he said dismissively, turning to leave. Emily watched as he walked away, a strange mix of relief and adrenaline coursing through her. The murmurs in the cafe began to rise again, but this time, they felt different. A few patrons nodded in approval. She caught Ben's eye, and his expression was one of surprise and admiration. "Wow," he said, leaning in. "That was bold." But before she could respond, the atmosphere shifted. An elderly woman from a nearby table stood up, her voice slightly shaky but earnest. "I think what she says is true. We need more than just the best pastries. We need places where we belong," she said, her gaze warm and defiant. Cheers and claps erupted from around the cafe, and Emily felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. Maybe she wasn't alone in this after all. Ben smiled widely now, leaning forward again. "I think I see the potential here," he said, excitement building in his eyes. "Community matters. And you just sparked something." But before they could delve deeper into what that something could be, the door opened again. A tall man stepped inside, the owner of a nearby restaurant, well known in town, whose reputation followed him like a shadow. "Of all places, I find you here," he said, his brow furrowing as he scrutinized the scene. "What is all this commotion?" Emily's heart sank again. Would this be another daunting challenge? Or could it be yet another opportunity? As tension filled the air, she took a deep breath. It was time to show everyone what pastries and people truly meant, to unveil the vision they shared, even if it felt daunting. As she prepared for the next words, she felt a flicker of courage. Could she convince him too? Would he join the moment or tear it apart? With each thudding heartbeat, the stakes rose. What would happen next? Emily steadied herself, taking in the imposing figure of the restaurant owner who stood at the entrance. His presence seemed to silence the cafe, every eye now fixed on him. She was well aware of his reputation. His bold cuisine brought joy to many, but also forged rivalry among local business owners. "Seems like you've stirred up quite the debate," he remarked, his tone tinged with curiosity. He had a way of slicing through conversations, his voice low yet commanding. "It's not often I see such passion for pastries in a town like this." The words hung in the air. Emily's stomach twisted with both anxiety and a sense of purpose. She had never thought she'd be in a face-off with someone of his stature, yet there was an undeniable thrill in standing her ground. "We're just trying to build a community where everyone feels welcome," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "This cafe isn't just here to serve food. It aims to create a sense of belonging." He arched an eyebrow, an intrigued expression crossing his face. "Belonging?" The word rolled off his tongue as he nodded slowly. "Well, you certainly have your audience wrapped around your finger." His gaze shifted to the patrons, who were now nodding in agreement with Emily. She wasn't sure if this was a compliment or merely a question of morality. "You don't think a place like this has value?" she pressed, her heart racing. Silence filled the cafe, only interrupted by the distant sound of an espresso machine. "Honestly," he replied, leaning forward, narrowing his eyes on her. "Value is subjective. People will pay for what they believe they need." Ben interjected, his tone defensive. "But if we can show people the joy of connection, isn't that worth investing in?" Emily is not just selling pastries. She is offering experiences. The owner seemed to consider this, glancing between Ben and Emily as if weighing their points. The earlier tension morphed into a lively debate that sparked a sense of camaraderie in the cafe. The patrons held their breath, entangled in the moment, waiting for clarity. "But experiences can't always pay the rent," the restaurant owner replied, folding his arms. "How do you plan to sustain it?" Emily's heart raced. She could feel the warmth of her supporters behind her, like an invisible shield. "By creating something that lasts," she said, urgency lacing her tone. "Something built on trust and love for our community. Food has a way of uniting us. When we share meals, we share ourselves." A flicker of something in his eye caught her attention. Was it admiration? Doubt? She wasn't sure. But she pressed on, passion surging. What if you became part of this, instead of seeing it as a threat? You have the power to inspire. Imagine local businesses collaborating to create unique experiences that draw people in. The cafe erupted in murmurs of agreement, the sense of hope transforming the atmosphere. She could see some patrons glancing at the owner, gauging his reaction. For a moment, he fell silent, lost in thought. Emily held her breath. A part of her expected him to dismiss her idea, but then he leaned back, his posture relaxing slightly. You make a compelling argument, but where do we start? Her pulse quickened. The small victory felt exhilarating. We start by combining our strengths. We can host community events, cook-offs, festivals. Let us give people a reason to come out and celebrate together. He seemed to be weighing her words, the crowd's anticipation thick in the air. A sudden clatter made them all jump as a glass was accidentally knocked over, spilling water across a table. Laughter erupted, breaking the tension momentarily. Maybe we're all in need of a little chaos, he said with a smirk, glancing at the mess. It's amusing how these moments bring us together. Emily smiled, seizing the opportunity. Exactly. Just like pastries baked with a little love, they create warmth. But what if everyone doesn't see the value in that warmth? He asked, lifting one eyebrow. With a steadying breath, she looked him dead in the eyes, determined to push forward. Then we show them. As she felt the weight of the moment, anticipation crackled in the air, suggesting that something monumental was on the brink of happening. If only she could just find the right words to seal the deal. Would this be the start of a collaboration that could change everything? Or would their different visions clash instead?